Hey, Tammy.
Hi, Matt.
Hi. Oh, you're echoing for some reason.
Okay. Do you understand that?
No, that's echoing still.
Still echoing?
Now it's not. Is
Okay.
my screen share enabled?
Yes.
Okay.
You want to test it?
Yeah. A sec here. Okay, so we've got screen 2. Now, when I start does that show the presentation?
It shows the presentation, yeah.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Okay,
With no
sure.
notes and everything, right?
Pardon me?
No notes. It was just a.
So it looked like a little bit of like a line, a bit of gray at the bottom. Is that?
Yeah.
Your,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. Good.
Is the sound working here? Is my sound working?
I can hear
can't
you.
Okay, good, thanks. I'll mute.
Good evening.
Good evening.
The March 10th, 2022 Planning Commission meeting is called to order. Please join me for the flag salute. Sorry, that sound a little better. Was I in a cave? All right, well, please join me for the flag salute. We're getting a little echo. Let's see, we're going to work on that for a moment. We'll get the flag salute here in just a moment. So my speaker's off here. That doesn't.
That's better.
Okay. But that one's picking me up. Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America.
To the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God.
We are going to take just a pause and see if we can fix the echo here. We either have me in a cave from far away or we have an echo. So we're going to see what we can do
I
here.
can turn up that volume on that one, if that helps. But I don't-
Okay. Yeah, we're still getting echo. All right, I muted. Okay, well, just sound a little bit like I am in a cave. So at any rate, it's time for roll call. So when I call your name, please let me know if you're here. Robert Bartell.
Here.
Kelvin Barton, that's me, I'm here. Atul Desmani. Atul Desmani. Okay. Jim Hansen,
Here.
Stephen Jackson,
Here.
Julie Jefferson,
Here.
Kimberly Lund will not be here. Dominic Masseri,
Here.
Scott Van Dalen.
Here.
Okay.
And there's
Sorry.
a tool.
Atul has gotten here, so. All right, and so now we have time for department updates, and that will be Steve Roberge, the Assistant Planning Director. So Steve, go ahead.
Thank you. Hey, good to see you guys again. So first of all, some exciting news. So PDS, we're going to be opening our doors here, partially opening them 3 days a week, starting on the 21st of March. And we're going to have some limited hours, 9 to 4, but we're going to start, see how things go and open things up. These virtual meetings, whether those are going to continue to be virtual or hybrid or in person, council is kind of testing out the technology and everything for us right now. So we'll see how that goes, and then we'll figure out the best course of when or how to modify these in the future. The council passed a new docket. There are 5 new items on it. If you're interested, please take a look at that. It's on the council page, and if you need any help getting there, let me know, and I can direct you there to see what those things on the docket are. And the docket is those things that are likely you may see coming up in the next year. So good stuff to take a look at. Our next meeting on March 24th, we're going to be focused on 2 things. We're going to be doing some talking about the capital improvement program, the CIP, as well as talking about transfer of jurisdiction of forest practices to the county from DNR. We'll talk more about those at the next meeting. The meeting after that, we plan to talk about cottage industry, but there's some logistical issues we ran into. So we're probably going to be talking about some code amendments that address Lake Whatcom watershed. And so like I say, we'll talk more about that, but that will probably be that first meeting in April. And then the second meeting in April, please remember that we have the short course planned. And if you haven't signed up for that, please do so. I think Tammy sent out a link here a week or so ago, maybe a little more. If you have any problems finding that or getting signed up, please again, let me know and we'll get y'all set up. So that's what I have, unless anyone has questions for me.
So thank you, Steve. So now is open session for public comment. Tammy, would you present that?
Certainly. Actually, it does not look like we have any attendees.
Okay, so we have no attendees. So let's move on to commissioner comments. Any commissioner comments? Commissioner Desmani.
I just showed up a couple minutes late.
He said, I just showed up a couple of minutes late.
Thank you, Commissioner Desmani. Any other commissioner comments? Okay, up next is approval of minutes for the February 24th meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the February 24th, 2022 Planning Commission meeting.
We have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Are there any corrections or amendments? Okay, hearing that no corrections, comments, amendments. Tammy, would you call the roll, please?
All right. Commissioner Mosseri,
Yes.
Commissioner Van Dalen,
Yes.
Commissioner Bartel,
Yes.
Commissioner Desmani,
Yes,
Commissioner Hanson,
Yes.
Commissioner Jackson,
Yes.
Commissioner Jefferson,
Yes.
Commissioner Barton.
Yes.
That is 8 yeses, that carries.
Okay. So up next is the main topic for tonight, countywide planning policy amendments, and Matt Almond is going to present that. And we'll follow that with a public hearing and then workshop. So Matt, go ahead.
Right, for the record, my name is Matt Ahmet, representing Planning and Development Services. And as mentioned tonight, we're talking about the countywide planning policies. So we'd like to touch on some background information relating to the countywide planning policies, the city county planner group recommendations, and then draw a few conclusions. And I'd like to provide a little background on what are countywide planning policies, the 3 phases of review that the county and the cities have discussed, and then where we're at in the review process for the current amendments. All right, so what are countywide planning policies? When the Growth Management Act was originally enacted in 1990 and 91, it required counties to adopt countywide planning policies in cooperation with the cities. And the policies establish a framework for developing county and city comprehensive plans and ensuring the plans are consistent. The County Council originally adopted the countywide planning policies in 1993 and then amended these policies in 97, 2005, and 2021. And the policies relate to things like citizen involvement, urban and rural distinctions, urban growth areas, housing, open space, economic development, transportation, water quality, buildable lands, etc. And the policies reside in Appendix C of the Whatcom County Comp Plan. So in the bigger picture, the City County Planner Group has discussed reviewing countywide planning policies in 3 phases. Phase 1 policies were adopted in 2021 in response to the GMA changes that made Whatcom County a buildable lands county. Phase 2 is before you tonight, and it would incorporate procedures for future amendments to the countywide planning policies. So the procedures are currently in an interim interlocal agreement that expires in a few years. So those policies would be, they're changed a little bit, but they'd basically be transferred from that interlocal that would expire, go away, and then put into the countywide planning policies themselves. Phase 3 would be kind of a more comprehensive review of all of the existing countywide planning policies over the next several years. These policies have not been amended in about 17 years, except for the buildable land and dispute resolution policies or procedures that were adopted in 2021. So as mentioned, the county and the cities developed an interim or temporary interlocal agreement setting forth procedures for amending the countywide planning policies. Note that interlocal is currently in effect. So the interlocal was reviewed by the county council, signed by the county executive and the mayors of the cities. And it includes steps right now for approving countywide planning policy amendments. And the first 3 steps on your screen have been completed for the policies that are before you tonight. And after Planning Commission completes its review and recommendations, the policies will go on to the County Council Committee of the Whole. Then it'll go to the city councils for approval, as countywide planning policies also apply to the cities. And finally, back to the County Council for final adoption. The City County Planner Group recommended procedures for processing future amendments to the countywide planning policies. And these procedures that are before you tonight that would go into the countywide planning policies are very similar to the procedures in the interim interlocal agreement, and in fact will replace that agreement. So the proposed amendments, which are in Exhibit A in your packets, pages C14 through C16 is the new stuff, would adopt countywide planning policy amendment procedures, and they relate to the items shown on your screen there. And most of them are pretty straightforward, but I wanted to focus on ratification of future countywide planning policy amendments, kind of how the cities and the county interact to endorse and enact these things. And the proposal includes 2 ratification methods. In other words, 2 ways that countywide planning policy amendments can become effective. And these 2 methods have been negotiated between the county and all of the cities. Method A. So there are 8 jurisdictions that are governed by the countywide planning policies, the county and the 7 cities. In order to become effective under Method A, jurisdictions representing at least 85% of the population and at least 50% of the jurisdictions, which would be 4 out of the 8, must approve the amendments. So this method would require Whatcom County and the city of Bellingham, both of which have 40% plus of the countywide population, and at least 2 small cities, depending on the population, to ratify the countywide planning policy. So you can see here, that you have to have both county and city of Bellingham. And then if you had, that adds to about 81%, you need 85. So it might take, if you have real small cities, it might take 3 of them. If you have some of the larger small cities, it would only be 2. So it depends on the mix under this method of how many additional small cities you would need. In order to become effective under Method B, the county and at least 5 of the 7 cities must approve the countywide planning policies. Under this method, the vote of each jurisdiction is given equal weight, although the county must be one of the jurisdictions giving approval, because under the GMA, the county is the one who actually adopts the countywide planning policies. So the county, Bellingham, and 4 small cities could approve the amendments, or the county and 5 small cities could approve the amendments. At the end of the day, 6 of the 8 jurisdictions, 75% would need to be in favor, and one of those must be the county. In summary, the City County Planner Group has formulated proposed amendment procedures for processing future countywide planning policy amendments. So all those things I mentioned before about, citizen participation and urban growth areas and water quality and economics and transportation. If amendments to those sections are proposed in the future, then these procedures would apply. And these procedures, these new countywide planning policies would replace the amendment procedures that are currently in the interlocal agreement. So tonight, we're asking Planning Commission recommendations so that the amendments can go to the County Council and the City Councils for review and approval. So that concludes our presentation. If you have any questions, we try to address those.
Commissioners, any questions for Matt? There we go. Commissioner Hanson.
Just how has the amendment process been altered from previous amendment procedures? Or if there, or were there none?
Well, I think there were some initially in the 90s, and I haven't looked at those for a long time. The interlocal agreement was adopted in, I think it was 2020. And there are just a few, I would call minor tweaks to this version, which I had somewhere. Let's see. Oh, I think it's in my document here. Let me find those. So let me bring up the document, so that might be easier to look at. Okay, I gotta move this over. Okay, can you see the document now?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. So scroll down to the procedures. So the red is the new stuff. And just we can go through it real quick here. Who can initiate amendments? The executive, the county council, city council, or a mayor. That was not changed from the interim interlocal. Then, you know, kind of the language and things you need to submit. Then there's a recommendation by the city county planner group. And there was a part added here. Let's see here. Oh, this is related to the time frame. If the city county planner group votes against a proposal, the executive and a majority of mayors can basically overturn that, and they have a certain time frame which may be extended. And this part was added: voting by the county executive and mayors can extend that time frame. And then you need to do SEPA review. This procedural things are exempt, so that didn't apply this time. Then this is the step we're on right now: planning commission review. And then it goes to the county council committee of the whole. And the idea here is that they basically, okay, this is ready to go to the cities. This is the proposal. And then it goes to the cities. And at this point, they can't change it. They can do an up or down vote on the proposal, because hopefully all that negotiation has gone on before. And if we get into 7 cities trying to change the thing at this point, it gets quite to be a logistical issue. So anyway, the cities vote on that. And then it goes back to the county council for a final adoption, because under GMA, the state law vests the county with actual adoption of countywide planning policies. And then from the interlocal, this was added at one of the city planners' suggestion. Under this first method, in the interlocal, you could have jurisdictions representing at least 85% of the population endorse a countywide planning policy, and it becomes effective. So you could have Bellingham, Whatcom County, and one small city. And they were concerned that, okay, we should have, you know, at least half of the jurisdictions on board, you know, for this type of thing. So now you need at least 85% and at least 4 of the 8 jurisdictions instead of 3 of the 8. So that was added in the proposal before you. And then just a clarifying thing, that the total number of jurisdictions, that those 3 words were added here for clarification. But that's it. This is pretty much very similar to the interlocal agreement that's in effect right now.
Commissioner Masseri.
I have two-part question, I guess. One, what was the thinking for having two options, two paths to achieve the threshold instead of just going with one? And then two, I was curious how this compares to other thresholds that other counties may have.
Yeah, I think, there was concern, because we have this group, we have Whatcom County and the city of Bellingham are kind of the big, population jurisdictions. And then you have the small cities. And I think there's kind of some back and forth between, who gets to decide, in essence, what policies apply to everybody else. And so, this kind of reaches an either or, if you reach a critical mass, I mean, if we just had this method, basically, let's say the county, the city of Bellingham and Linden or Ferndale could decide and, impose policies on, the other small cities. This method doesn't require Bellingham, but it requires a majority of small cities. So it's kind of I think it was just kind of a back and forth between who gets to decide, and it was one of those issues that was a tough nut to crack. So at the end of the day, the city county planning group said, well, let's go with two methods, that either a majority of small cities in the county or Bellingham County and, several small cities could ratify. And we did look at, this is probably a year ago, some of the other jurisdictions, and they had a variety of, methods. And I think King County has like 39 cities, and I can't remember exactly how they do it, but there are a variety of methods. I mean, the GMA doesn't require a ratification process. It just says we have to work in cooperation or coordination with cities. So I think we felt like, and the cities felt strongly about it, that they need to have some role in this. And so, because the policies apply to them too. So I think we tried to reach a balanced approach that, hopefully majority of jurisdictions will agree. And, I guess that's just the process we felt and came to agreement on among all the jurisdictions that this is the best way to proceed.
Did all of the jurisdictions agree with these two methods?
Yeah. So there's two levels here. One is the existing interim interlocal agreement, which did not have those three parts I just showed you in response to Commissioner Hansen's question. It's very, very similar to this. And all the city mayors and the county executive signed that interlocal, which is very similar. And then this version has been endorsed by the city county planner group. And the theory was we kind of run it up the flagpole with, they can run it to the city manager or city mayor or whoever the case may be. And the county executive initiated this proposal at the request of the city county planner group. So it's got, the initial interlocal was approved, signed by the mayor's exec, and this was endorsed by the city county planner group with, the theory was everybody's supposed to run it up the flagpole, which they've pretty much seen it before, the mayors and everything.
Commissioner Hansen.
Oh, just back at the part where there was a process where the councils, county council, the city councils had a process and approval, but their approval could be vetoed by the executive mayor folks, basically the executive branch. And I'm wondering why there wouldn't be a veto override provision if you have a veto process.
As far as the county is concerned, county will adopt this by an ordinance, county council adoption. So the executive could theoretically veto it. Hopefully, I think the theory is we're going to have a lot of discussion before it gets to this point. And hopefully, the majority of jurisdictions are on board, but certainly the county executive can veto an ordinance. In that case, it wouldn't become effective under the county charter. So that's already a given. Here in this process, we just said, city legislative authority vote. So it's not an ordinance because they don't really adopt it. The GMA says the county is the entity that adopts countywide planning policies. So we just wrote in here a vote by the legislative, city council to approve or disapprove.
Commissioner Desmond,
So it's possible for the cities to agree on a change without the support of the county council and the county executive, except for the county executive.
Well, at the end of the day, yeah, the county council would have to approve it to become effective. So you need this. And then this would be an ordinance. So then the county executive would, be asked to sign that ordinance. So if he vetoed it, then it would not be effective. That's part of the county charter.
are there more questions for Matt? Then let's just pause here and let's open the public hearing. So the public hearing is open. And Tammy, then would you take over here?
All right, again, we do not have attendees.
So we have no attendees. Let's give it a minute or two in case somebody's listening and needs to log in. And then if no one does, then we'll close the public hearing. I'm going to give it about another minute. All right, the public hearing is closed. So it's up to you commissioners. Questions, more questions from Matt or changes you would like to see or discuss? Go ahead. I am not seeing any hands come up here. Oh, thank you, Commissioner Desmani.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the staff recommendation with the findings of fact.
I'll second that motion.
Is there any discussion on the motion? Anybody have comments? Tammy, would you call the roll, please?
Okay, Commissioner Van Dalen,
Yes.
Commissioner Bartel,
Yes.
Commissioner Desmani,
Yes,
Commissioner Hanson,
Yes,
Commissioner Jackson,
Yes,
Commissioner Jefferson,
Yes.
Commissioner Mosseri,
Yes.
Commissioner Barton.
Yes.
That is 8 yeses, that carries.
All right. Is there any more business, any unfinished business? Okay. I'm not seeing anything. Would you like to get out of this meeting?
I just want to make sure Scott doesn't think this is the routine, Scott. This is not our typical planning commission meeting.
All right.
They get used to this.
Thank you, everyone. The meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
Night,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Incredible, a new record. See you in a couple weeks.
All right.
And I knew you were still writing.
Oh, that's okay.